Welcome to the Be More Podcast, where we inspire.
I been through some shit, no, I don't care, yeah. And I'm from rap, ain't got no fear, yeah. And you wasn't there, no. Niggas hanging on me, I don't care, though. 2 handguns, I stay 10 toes. You took pulling up, drop out 10 in the window. You took phone up, double call, third phone. Fuck her good enough, but she won't leave me alone.
Oh, how to start. I didn't know where to start, but what I want to influence you to do today is never be afraid to start. I think a lot of times what happens is we get in our own way. We know that, we're called to do something, but, we get scared, right? Can't be scared. Scared money don't make no money. I remember when I came up with the idea of starting this podcast, and I was saying to myself, like, man, that's crazy. You know how much stuff go into it? All of the details, all the facts, all the things that you got to do. But you know what? To keep it 100 with you, I started. It's never about, this is never a competition. I don't want to compete with the next man. I'm happy with who I am. And I'm happy with who I'm becoming. I'm not living on the surface. Too many of us are living on the surface. Come too far to just live on the surface. Go harder. Go deeper. Dig deeper. What is your why? When you sit back and you ask yourself, like, why am I doing this? What is your why? I got a son, he's 5 years old. He is my why. I have a mother with 2 brain aneurysms. She is my why. Have some whys, but this short skit that I'm doing, I want this to be something that you listen to when you're driving in your car. Imagine yourself every day, wake up. You have to continue your reputation of what you do. Hard work, routine builds character. Get fit. Get to it. Stop being okay with okay. If you are greatness, then be greatness. I'm going to leave you with a story, and hopefully this influences you to wake up and change the perspective of how you see things. When I was 11 years old, my pops and my mother, they separated. And I never forget, I was like playing in the park, with the other kids, like having a good time and everything, and we see a whole bunch of cop cars pull up. So, we see all the cop cars pull up, and I'm thinking to myself, like, what's going on? Because in the hood, when cop cars pull up, everybody want to know what's going on. Who getting locked up? Who going to jail now, right? We pull up, all the kids, we start running down the block. We get to in front of my building, and I'm like, oh snap, that's my building. And then I see my mom's come out in cuffs. See my dad come out in cuffs. My mother, she kicking and screaming. She only like 4'11", short little thing. My father, he come out with a t-shirt on, back of the t-shirt just like full of blood. And I'm like, oh snap, that's my parents. It broke me, right? That whole transitional process, dealing with, separation of your parents, because, growing up, you always just want that foundation, right? But I didn't have that. But fast forward, my father and my mother, basically separated after that event. My dad used to have to come pick me up every other weekend. And he lived in 42nd Street, and I don't know if you're familiar with New York, but in New York, 42nd Street is like the center of the city, right? And we lived in Queens, so in order to get to 42nd Street, you would have to hop on the E train and ride it all the way downtown. And it was a ride. And I never forget, one day my pops came to get me, and he was like, yo, man, I'm tired of coming out here. You're going to have to start coming to see me. I'm like, huh? I'm like, I'm 11 years old. I didn't really pay him no mind. I just felt like he was talking. I just felt like he was just rambling because he was upset because he had to hop on the train and everything. We get on the train this one particular morning, and he asks somebody for a piece of paper. They give him a piece of paper. I don't know, it was somebody in the car. Somebody else on the cross. He asked me for a piece of paper. They give him a piece of paper. He writes on a piece of paper his stop. His stop is Chambers Street. I'll never forget. And he gives it to me. And he takes the paper back from me, and then he writes his phone number on the back. And he gives it back to me. Then he digs in his pocket, grabs out a bunch of quarters, gives it to me. So the train is going. It's going. I never forget, we was on the Roosevelt stop. He looked at me. And he said, hey, when I get up, you don't go nowhere. And I want you to do me two things. I don't want you to talk to no strangers. And I want you to use your common sense. And if you get too scared, you call me. And I'm like, what are you talking about, Dad? I felt like he was like, I don't know what. He just threw me for a loop, because in my mind, I'm saying to myself, he's not really about to leave me on his train, right? But in all actuality, I didn't want to believe it, because I felt like he was trying to scare me, but that's actually what he was about to do. Next stop comes. He gets up, he says, don't move. Don't forget what I told you. He walks out the train doors. Train doors close. Boom, boom. I get up and I run to the glass. I'm banging on the glass like, what are you, Dad? Like, I'm yelling, Dad, what are you doing? Like, it threw me for a loop. I get off on the next stop and I instantly just start breaking down. Now you gotta imagine, I'm 11 years old and I'm sitting at a train station by myself with a bunch of quarters in my pocket, a piece of paper that says Chambers Street, and my father's phone number. And the first thing I wanted to do was call him, but at the same time I was so mad and disappointed that he left me. But let me tell you something. In life, people will disappoint you. In life, people will leave you. I didn't know what he was trying to teach me at that point, but he taught me something great. Let me continue. I never forget, in New York, we had these big maps, right? And the maps show every train stop, every train. It's like, we call it the subway map. It shows every train and where it goes. So I'm looking. I got the paper. I'm looking for Chambers Street. I see Chambers Street. And I'm like, oh snap, all I gotta do is hop back on the E and I'm gonna go to Chambers Street. But I didn't know when I was on the train with my father, we already passed Chambers Street. See, all I had to do was get off the train, go on the other side, and come and get on the train and go back. But I didn't realize that that's how the train worked, right? And that's how life is sometimes. When we think we're going in the right direction, sometimes we're going in the wrong direction. Sometimes we just got to stop and really analyze where we're at so we can figure out where we need to go. Let me continue. I get back on the train. I ride the train all the way down to 42nd Street. Right? And I'm thinking like I'm there, I'm downtown, but really I'm not. I'm actually lost because it's 42nd Street and it's Grand Central at that. So it's so huge. There's so many different lines and trains that you can hop on, and I didn't want to leave the E. Like my heart wouldn't let me leave the E. Make a long story short, I sat there for a minute. I cried. I cried. People walked up to me, asked me, am I okay? Where's my parents? I did not talk to nobody. Nobody. One thing I did not play with was my father's word. When he told me something, I abided by it. And I'm going to say this to the fathers out there. I want you to realize that you have power in what you say to your children, how you portray yourself to your children, who you are to your children. Your mouth is one of the most powerfulest things God gave you. Don't take that for granted. So that them tears turned into anger. That anger turned into pride. That pride gave me the energy to move forward and say, you know what, I'm going to figure this out and I'm not going to call them. I looked at the map again. I figured out how to get back on the train. So I knew I had to hop back on the train but come on the opposite side because this was the last stop. And I hopped back on the train, went back up the other way, got off on the right stop, got off on Chamber Street, went straight to a payphone and called my father. I said, yeah, man, I'm here. Yeah, Daddy, I'm here. And I remember him coming to meet me at the train station, and we walked back to the shelter he was living in at the time. And in my mind, I was just like, yeah, I did it. And in his mind, he was like, you're thirsty, you want something to drink? Like, he didn't look at it like nothing. But to me, now when I look at everything that I attack in my life, I figure it out. And that's life. Life is just like that subway map. But how are you going to figure things out as a man, as a human being, as a living essence in this world? How are you going to figure out your life? So, I just want you to know that at the end of the day, there's always a way. You just got to have the will. I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you for tuning in to the first intro of motivation. Stay focused. Stay blessed.